What's it showing for here? You're in the 90s, you're 96. It's great. I like this all the time. Only one exercise. Good. Exert yourself not before moving. But you take it with you just as a you know that your face is all scaly and stuff. Jackson Hole has the whole barrier system. Well, they got it. Okay, so we go over here. Oh, yeah.
I think this. Wow.
Okay. Then what? All the Grand Canyon. What about the donkey ride? You got donkey ride on the adventure?
Yeah. We're not doing the donkeys.
Yeah, I think you have to make a reservation. There's a reservation. Forever. You do. I mean, there's only so many.
Yeah. Yep. With you.
We're gonna stay over.
What about the donkey?
Okay,
The donkey has to back up to the cliff.
okay,
Yeah, we back up the other way.
okay.
I'm gonna stand way back here and I'm gonna take this mask off.
Yes, thank you.
Woo!
Thank you.
We don't mind. So it's too hot and I can't talk and you can't hear me. Hello, everybody. I'm Becky Custer, just in case you needed to be reintroduced. It's been a while. It's been a long while. It's been over a year since we've had anything going on in this room. And we're so excited to see you all. I had several people call me yesterday and today to know if we're still having this meeting where we have it in person. And I'm so happy to say, yes, we're having it in person. We're trying to be a little distant. You can tell it's not real great, but we're trying. We left out the middle seat, so you're good. We're here today to talk about our national parks trip, and we're going to get to that in a minute. First of all, we have a birthday in the room today. Lou Bowen, it's her birthday. And I know that I've worked with Lou Bowen for years, so when I scheduled this, I thought, that's her birthday. So happy birthday, and we're glad you're with us. How many of you are ready to go somewhere? Yay, yes, we're all ready to go. And I'm going to let Jennifer tell you all about it and how it works. And I know you've got lots of questions, and there's protocol in place today. There's going to be protocol in place next month. There's going to be protocol in place down the road as we go. I am I'm just going to say we're going in September. I feel like we're going in September. Colette has trips, especially domestic trips that are going some now, but there's protocol. It will always change. So whatever they're doing today, it'll be different in September, I'm sure. And we will have a meeting before we leave. We'll tell you all about what you need to know. As we go, if you have to have some requirements that you need to do ahead of time, we will also let you know that. So don't worry about, you don't have to worry about anything. We'll take care of everything as we go along. I'm happy to say that Andrea Griffin is back here today. She's our marketing director. She's with me today. We're going to Zoom record this so that if anybody or if you know anybody that didn't get to come today that might want to see it, we're going to make that available for them to be able to see it as well. I think I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer now. First of all, too, and I don't know exactly what I'm talking about here, but the NAE Big Read project, It's gonna kick off in March, I believe. And we have Debbie Hammond has some information here. If you are interested in this, it's been a year in the making or so because they've had to do it virtual from what they were going to do. So they've got it all planned for you here. And if you want to read about it and pick up some information, I'm going to have it up here for you when we're through, okay? First of all, I want to say, because you have a brochure in your hand, but I'm going to come around and hand out a new brochure because we have big news
Don't
for you.
spoil a surprise.
We have some big news for you guys. And I didn't get this until I was at home last night. So I had to hurriedly put together this brochure. So if you will share for right now, we'll get some more made if we need to. And you may spot the surprise when you look at it, but I'll come back. with another. I'll make some more. But y'all may spot the surprise.
We've taken out all the deals.
16 meals. We knew there was a reason. 37. Still, we don't drop anything.
No, yeah, no. Talk about it, but yeah, I'll say.
Who reduced the price?
The air.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Becky. It's so good to be here. It's good to see you all. Everybody doing okay?
Oh, yeah, ready.
How many people have been able to get their first vaccinations? Going for the second? Good.
Next
Good.
week.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. I'm hoping we're on the right path now. I'm excited. I'm ready to go somewhere. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow and I'm flying to Colorado. I'm gonna go skiing, taking my kids. So, you know, I'm not just encouraging you. I'm doing it. I flew back in October. I flew down to Florida. We're very conservative. You know, we're not getting out a lot from our home and doing a lot of social activities, but I do feel like the airplanes, the airline industry, you know, they're following all the protocols and the safety. The safety is there. So if you're comfortable with that, you know, I encourage you to get out and do that. How many have been with Becky before, been with Colette before? I know so many of your faces, even behind your masks, I know who you are. Hopefully you're smiling. You know, it's hard to tell behind those masks sometimes what people are thinking or what their faces are looking like behind there. But yeah, Becky's so wonderful, as so many of you know. She's always going to take great care of you. And that is our philosophy as well. And I always like to talk about Colette. And Becky's right. You know, a lot of the protocols will be different. I'm getting a lot of questions and I try to answer it in all honesty of what I know today, but it could be different when we get to September, of course. And, you know, we've been in business 103 years. This is my 23rd year with Colette, and I'm so thankful to work for a family-owned company that can weather these kinds of downturns, obviously, in the travel industry. And it really gives you a peace of mind. And you know what it is when we take deposits from travelers, we don't spend that money until the trip travels. So we're not putting money out there before the trip is going to go. We have your money in escrow coming back to you if the trip doesn't make. So you're fully covered with that. We are following, of course, all the CDC and the World Health Organization, the WHO, all of their safety recommendations and protocols. And Becky's right, you know, last summer, since we do cover all 7 continents, we have a very deep product offering. So obviously a lot of the borders are still closed for international travel. But we're hoping those are going to open back up this summer, this fall. But we always have our US destinations to offer as well. And we did start operating mostly national park type itineraries last July and did that safely and didn't report any cases coming out of people traveling on our tours. So we were really pleased with that. And of course, you know, just the basics. When you're going to be traveling with us, of course, we want everyone to do kind of a wellness declaration before you travel with us. And anywhere you're going nowadays, you see the signs like don't come in if you've got any kind of symptoms, fever, anything like that. Obviously using common sense. If you're not feeling well, you're not going to be going on the trip. And a new feature to our documents will provide you with a face mask. If you're still needing those at that time, you can bring some with you as well, but we'll provide you with one in your tour document packet. And of course, we're sanitizing everything. I really think that's key. And it's kind of good nowadays for everybody just to be a little bit more cleanly, right? Using hand sanitizer, washing your hands more frequently, trying not to touch your faces, of course, and training our tour managers on all these safety protocols to help out while they're on tour as well. But disinfecting the motor coaches, any vendors that we're using, we're double checking with the hotels, if you're eating out in restaurants on tour, to make sure that they're going to follow these safety protocols. And if they're not, switch vendors. Okay. What I like about the room here today is it kind of feels like you're on an airplane or a motor coach, right? And everybody's always asking, well, what's that going to be like? 6 feet 6 feet apart can be kind of challenging on an airplane or a motor coach, obviously. So you have to be comfortable with your surroundings. And I'm kind of hoping for this group, it'll be just your group on the coach, because we're holding the full departure. So it would be nice to feel kind of comfortable traveling with your friends and neighbors from town here and not with people that you don't know so much. So, and again, we're reevaluating that if it comes to September and we need to split into 2 coaches, we could split into 2 coaches with 2 tour guides. There's always a guide on every coach, but we'll just be assessing that as we go along. And be rest assured, Colette always has your safety and well-being at heart as well. And part of it also for us is even if places are open, that's part of it right now is, the place might be open, but is anything going to be available to be seen while you're there? And we're not just going to send you out there and say, oh yeah, just go ahead and go, nothing's open. So that's part of it as well. Even if you're safe to travel there, is it going to compromise the integrity of the tour? So we have all these factors in play when we decide if we're canceling the trip or if it's going to go. But I'm fully confident, that this trip will go because it is a U.S. destination. We gave back over $130 million cash last year, and we're still operating. We're still good. So I think we've earned the bragging rights to say that, because most companies, they'll just give you a voucher and that's a use it or lose it kind of scenario. So with us, you don't have to worry about anything. It's just the excitement of, I want to go on that trip. Let's go ahead and sign up and get ready to go. Okay. So you have the brochures there, and the quality level is always consistent in all of our destinations. We list out for you the name of the hotel or lodge for a national park lodge, and the city, the place you're staying. So I always encourage you, go out online, type in the name of that accommodation. I always like to look at them. It gets me so excited to see the destination, the location, the amenities. So do all of that. And the thing about the national parks, some people will say, oh, I can do that on my own. Yeah, you can do that on your own, but it's a lot of driving. You get on a motor coach, you have a full-time tour manager educating you all along the way. You're sitting back, you're relaxing, you're enjoying the scenery. You're not having to drive yourself, figure out if you missed that turn. There's a lot of driving on the itinerary. So, and the accommodations, you have to book these kind of places 2 years in advance if you want to go and stay in these perfect locations, because there's not a lot of places to pick from when you're out near the national parks. So it is a huge perk to be able to go on a tour through the parks, to sit back, relax, enjoy the trip, be well taken care of and educated, and have that perfect location for accommodations. Okay. So I'm going to go through the rest of the points as we get to the end there. We'll talk about the insurance and all of that as we go. But this is a 12-day itinerary, and you still have the 16 meals. The ladies up front were like, well, the price went down. Do we still get the meals? I was like, no, we're stripping it down. We're stripping it down. Now, everything's included. Everything's included on the itinerary. I'll talk about the pricing when I get to the end there. But you have those 16 meals. That's basically, it's breakfast every day, 10 breakfasts, 6 dinners. And then we make stops along the way in the touring day where lunches would be on your own, and the guide will tell you where you can have lunch, and you have some free time at lunch. So this is September 14th, and you come back on the 25th. Just to show you a few of the highlights, have many of you been out to the parks? Maybe not the full itinerary on this one though. Just a few of the highlights before we get into the day by day here. You see Sedona here with those amazing, beautifully colored rock formations. There's the Grand Teton National Park. And of course, we spend the night in the Grand Canyon. This itinerary, you have Mount Rushmore, and we'll do a chuck wagon dinner with a cowboy entertainment. I don't know, we were talking about cowboys and Indians, or Native Americans is the politically correct term now. And Yellowstone with Old Faithful, the geyser. So here's the routing, and I call this itinerary of our national parks. We have several itineraries, but I call this the whole shebang. Because we have shorter itineraries than this, where it's just the northern parks, just the southern parks. But if you want to get the most value for your money, flying out there maybe just one time to do all the parks, this is the way to do it. And we fly into Scottsdale, and that's where you pick up the deluxe motor coach, where you motor coach the rest of the itinerary. But it is a moving itinerary, because a lot of times when you get into these areas, one night is going to be enough. You don't want to spend too much time there, and then you're kind of waiting, like, are we moving along? Are we moving along? But we'll spend one night at Lake Powell, make our way up to the Grand Canyon. We spend one night there. We have a 2-night stay in Springdale. We'll visit Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon National Park, and we come into Salt Lake City. I call this you're back to civilization there, a little break in the middle of the itinerary for one night there, continuing to head north. And then we have 2 nights in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is a highlight for sure. You have the Grand Teton National Parks. You have Yellowstone National Park, where you spend one night. And then you're coming through Cody into Sheridan for one night. You have Crazy Horse Memorial, of course, Mount Rushmore, as we talked about, and then Rapid City. That's your major airport in this region to get you back out that last night. But, and I do warn you, you know, typically, well, always South Dakota, Rapid City, there are no direct flights going into Rapid City. So you would have to connect to get home from there. So I like the routing where most likely you fly direct into Scottsdale, and that's the easier flight to get you in. And then you do have a connection coming home out of Rapid City there. So starting out, and you know, this itinerary, it operates seasonally. It operates April through October. And I get the question a lot, well, what's the weather like? It's always a combination and a battle between high heat and high elevation, where it can be extremely cold. So there's really not a perfect time of year to go there, but Becky and I picked September because it's more of a temperate climate. The hot portion obviously would be where you start out in the south with Arizona, and probably in the 90s, but they say it's a dry heat, right? It is a lot drier than we're used to, but it's the kind of trip where you pack layers, because you could dip into the 30s and the 40s in the evenings by the time you get to the northern part of the itinerary, in the higher elevations. And the highest elevations, if you're worried about elevations, you're probably at about 8,500 feet is the height in the elevations on the itinerary. But you know, the first day we always fly in, you have a time change. We don't do touring. We want everyone to get acclimated, get situated, get your luggage into the hotel room, and we'll do a welcome dinner that first evening. Everybody's smiling and ready to go. And then day 2 is really where we begin. We begin touring. We take you over to Sedona, and this is known as an artist colony. Such a beautiful area. And again, that's where those rock formations are. You may recognize this from some of the commercials they've done on TV in the past, where they have the Jeep out on the red rocks, but the colors do change at different times of day, different times of year. It could be red, brown, yellow, orange, really spectacular. And then we move along to Lake Powell. Now, this is the second largest man-made lake in the US, with almost 2,000 miles of shoreline. And it's more than the combined coastline of the Pacific coast, they say. So we'll have dinner here, and you'll have sunset views. And then the next morning, we'll go out on the lake. We have a breakfast cruise included. So you'll really enjoy that. That'll be a unique breakfast for you. It's absolutely gorgeous. And from there, we travel to what's called the Carl Hayden Visitor Center. And you can look out over the Glen Canyon Dam, and you can see the end of Lake Powell here. And these pictures are pretty good. But when you get out there, you know, it's even more spectacular and the colors are even more vibrant. You travel through Marble Canyon, and this marks the beginning of the Grand Canyon. Look at that. And it is really magnificent. They do call this one of the 7 wonders of the world, and it's about 18 miles wide and about a mile deep. And upon arrival, you know, you can relax. There's many different public seating areas that overlook the immense, colorful canyon. This is the North Rim. And you do have some free time before you have dinner here. And if you're really adventurous, you know, there's lots of, we balance it out where there's free time when you get into the parks. So if you do want to get out and do some hiking, do a little bit of walking, you can do that. I always get the question, you know, well, what's the activity level? The parks trips, typically, if you don't want any activity, these are the easiest places, easiest itineraries to go on, where you're on and off the motor coach, you're sitting back, relaxing and enjoying the scenery. If you're not as mobile, it's very doable. But if you do want to get out and have more activity, there's that time for you where you can get out and take a stroll, take a more aggressive hike if you want to do that. So it's up to you how much activity you want to get here. See that nice railing there? You're not going to be pushing anyone off the edge. Yeah.
A little scary.
Little scary, yeah, a little scary. These ladies up here are great. They were talking about the donkeys. You know, you can take donkeys all the way down the canyon. We don't have enough time for that, and typically most of our passengers don't want to do that, so that's not included on this itinerary. But now, en route to Salt Lake City, we do stop at Bryce Canyon National Park. This is one of my favorite areas with the scenic, really one of the scenic wonders of the world. They call these the hoodoos, or the land of the sleeping giants. Very unique rock formations that were created with wind and water erosion over eons of time. And you know, again, throughout the itinerary, you really notice how the landscape changes immensely from park to park. And those colors, again, the rock colors do change based on where the sun is, how high or low in the sky it is. But, you know, we end our day in Springdale, which is the gateway to Zion National Park. And the scenery here, again, it's completely different than where you just came out of Bryce. Now, Zion is more known for the red and white sandstone cliffs. Now, you do have a choice when you're in Zion that they'll offer. There's a human history museum that you can do, or again, if you want free time, you want to be independent, you can go off and do some walking or some hiking. So you can go with the group to the museum, or you go off on your own to do a little bit of hiking or walking or relaxing, taking some pictures. And you do get to enjoy the view from the floor of the canyon, because they do have a tram here, the Zion tram, where you don't have to hike all the way down there. They'll take you down. I think it's about a 1,200 feet difference to when you get down to the bottom of the canyon. Now, I mentioned Salt Lake City. We do come into the City of the Saints, where we spend one night here, and we'll do kind of a panoramic tour where you'll see the Great Salt Lake, and there's the Capitol building, and there's a really pretty residential district. And then you have the rest of the day, you have an afternoon free in Salt Lake to explore independently. You know, they have Temple Square here if you've never been. It's about a 10-acre area. It's in the heart of downtown Salt Lake, and it's one of Utah's most visited attractions. And of course, you see that in the background there, the centerpiece of the square is the 6-spired granite Salt Lake Temple. And very famous for the tabernacle and the choir here as well. So if you luck out, if I haven't looked at the exact day of the week that you're there, sometimes the choir would be practicing, and you might be able to sneak in there to see that. The beautiful organ. Coming into Wyoming, we make a stop at the majestic Bear Lake Summit, and then we come into Jackson Hole, those famous antler horn arch. Kind of makes you know that you're going into Jackson Hole there. This is really where you feel like you're out with the Great West, you're with the cowboys here. And again, you have 2 nights here, so we do give you the rest of the day free when you get into Jackson Hole. It's really a beautiful town. They've filmed many American Western movies, so if you like the old Westerns, maybe you recognize some of the scenes there. And I mentioned the dinner that this evening it's fun, it's different. You know, you don't always ride a chuck wagon to dinner. And when you get there, they'll have some cowboy entertainment. There'll be a really nice barbecue, and I think you'll have a good time that evening. So that's included. And then the next day, you do have free time as well, because there's a lot to do in Jackson Hole. Cute little town, but you can do shopping on the main street. They have canoeing, they have hiking, river rafting. So there's only 2 options that are listed on your itinerary there for you. Everything else is included. I'll just highlight these a little bit for you. If you're really adventurous, you can go whitewater rafting. If you survive the rafting, you have lunch. And lunch included. Now this is, I think they classify this as class 3 rafting, which is beginner to intermediate level. And of course, you have a guide with you. They give you all the gear. You do get wet. People always ask, I'm like, yes, you get wet because you are going down rapids. But if you're a little bit more adventurous and you're okay with that, it's a lot of fun. Super, super a lot of fun. We haven't lost anybody, so I recommend that. Or if you want something a little bit more calm, this is the scenic float trip with lunch included as well. You have that guide. And a lot of times you're all paddling because it's so calm, like bath water, where you're not even moving. So if that's more your speed, where you don't want your heart racing and getting a little nervous, maybe take the float trip. But those are just the 2 options. If you don't want free time, you can do one of the 2. But if you don't feel like doing either, you can still have a fantastic time there in Jackson Hole. So leaving Jackson Hole, we pass through Grand Teton National Park. They tower more than a mile above the valley of Jackson Hole, these Tetons, and they rise over 13,000 feet. So again, the scenery you can see is completely different to where you've come from in Arizona, in Utah. There's 12 Teton peaks that do reach this over 12,000 feet and support about a dozen mountain ranges here. So it almost feels these are the Rockies, where you're almost into Canada at this point with the comparison on the scenery. But these are the youngest range of Rockies, and displays some of North America's oldest rocks here as well. So we'll have sightseeing as we go along, and you're coming along Lake Yellowstone. You're going over the Sylvan Pass from the mountains to the prairies. It's simply amazing scenery. What's so great about these parks trips, obviously, is you're all out, clean, fresh air, and you're able to do that. I think that's going to feel wonderful to get out in the open and feel safe out there. So we pass through Cody, and we'll stop at it's called the Buffalo Bill Center of the West. You'll hear a lot about Buffalo Bill and all the wild, wild West throughout the trip. So this is a tribute to one of the most colorful figures of the Old West here. You'll have the opportunity to visit what's called the Native American Cultural Center and learn about their culture and their customs. I think that's what we were asking about earlier. And then we come into Yellowstone National Park. And you'll have national park naturalists that do join you along the way. You have the Colette Guide, but it's nice to have those national park naturalists with you as well. So, of course, one of the highlights here is the Old Faithful Geyser, and it goes anywhere up to 184 feet in the air, and they estimate anywhere from 17 to 20 times a day it will erupt, between 1.5 minutes to 5 minutes at a time. So you have pretty good chances, you can stand there and wait to see the eruption there. Lots of wildlife. You'll be staying on the motor coach. You always see those videos on the news where someone got out and tried to get an up close of the buffalo, of the bison, which you don't want to do. So you'll be taking camera safari from the motor coach. So we turn in for the night in Sheridan, and we'll drive through the incredible Bighorn Mountains and journey through the territory. This is the territory of the Great Sioux Nation. And we come upon Crazy Horse Memorial. It's dedicated to the Native Americans of this great land. And this is here where you'll have discussions with the Native Americans, and you'll learn about their dance, the significance of wearing different feathers, different clothing, different colors. So you do have access to the Native Americans if you want to have conversations and ask questions. And of course, it wouldn't be a complete trip for this itinerary without visiting Mount Rushmore, carved in stone. It represents the first 150 years of American history. Took 14 years and 400 men to carve the mountain. And back then, it only cost about $1 million. It's pretty amazing, the feat that was accomplished with minimal technology. So at our farewell dinner, again, you'll meet the Lakota Native Americans, and you'll have time to talk with them as well and learn about their lifestyle, the past, in comparison to the present as well. So that's the full itinerary. I do have a video I want to show you that's going to bring it all to life, and it might not be in the exact sequence of your itinerary, but it covers everything that you will be seeing and doing. Let's see if I can get it to work. It goes in. It's just music though, yeah.
Okay.
There's no talking.
No talking.
Okay. You'll need to get your hats, cowboy hats. Who was it?
One of the presidents.
Oh, doesn't that look awesome?
Yes.
Y'all ready to go?
Yes.
And look at that price, came down $400 per person. I was really excited about that. Look, that's the airfare. They were running an airfare sale where the airfare is only $2.99 per person.
Wow.
You can't beat that. You cannot beat that. So I'm thrilled to be able to do that. The pricing that you see, just to clarify, double means 2 people in the room, price per person. Single, if you're going to have your own room, the hotels do always charge more just for a single. And then the triple, they can accommodate where it's 3 people in the room, but it's basically a double-sized room with 2 twin beds, and they bring in the rollaway cot. Okay. And down below where it tells you what's included in that pricing, that's the land package I talked about, the hotels, the number of meals, all that transportation, the airfare round trip out of Atlanta, that's with the air taxes, the fees, all the surcharges on an airline ticket. We get you to and from the airport as a group from Griffin. That's taken care of. And Becky always feels very strongly. She includes the gratuities for the tour manager and the driver. So that's already all taken care of. There's nothing additional for you there when you get out there, as well as your travel insurance that is included. Okay. And that is, it is included in your pricing, but it's $2.99 per person in case you're wondering about that. I'm going to show you a little bit more as we go along. And I mentioned we will pick you all up as a group. And we'll bring you back too. Everybody's like, well, you bring us back home. We'll bring you back. We got you there. There's no minimums on that. People love that. It's nice to not have to worry about parking and lugging your luggage, paying to park. So the rates and everything that you see, those are economy class airfare out of Atlanta. But if you have friends or family that want to join from another gateway, just let us know. And if the price is different than from Atlanta, we can adjust it, but everybody's welcome. And it's really best to let us know as soon as possible if you want to do any kind of deviation. You know, if you want to go early, that's fine. We can fly you to Scottsdale early on your own without the group. If you want to spend more time in Rapid City, which a lot of times people don't in Rapid City, but if you want more time there, you can have more time. So if you want to stay early, go early, stay late, that's no problem. We talked a little bit about the dining, and there's just those 2 optional tours that are offered, you know, in the itinerary. But I do highlight the insurance for you. I think some of you are very familiar, may have used it with us in the past. It is included in your package. It's not additional or optional, but it allows you to cancel For any reason, no questions asked until the day before departure. Full cash refund. The only amount you can ever possibly lose is that $299 per person. Okay. Can't beat that. You really can't. And it covers you on the trip as well, even though you're still in the US, you know, you have insurance that'll cover you, but it is nice to have some supplemental travel insurance. God forbid you had to be medevaced or helivaced out of the Grand Canyon. That could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. The insurance would cover you, as well as lost, stolen, or damaged luggage. Okay, that's all taken care of with the cancellation prior to departure, turns into medical while you're on tour. Now, we do have a loyalty program, and obviously most people didn't go anywhere last year. So if you went with us in 2019, we'll look at the dates and we'll give you a credit if we're able to, based on when your last trip was with us in 2019. Okay, so we do want to thank people for being frequent loyal travelers with us. And that comes off at final payment, just to keep it easy with our accounting department. So this is for just for 2021, what we're doing. You know, typically you lose the insurance, the $299 travel insurance at 6 months prior to a departure date. This, you can cancel up until June 1st and lose nothing. Sign up, reserve your spot, because, you know, you see all the people in the room. People do want to go. If you're able to go, the trips are going to sell out. It's easier with us to get off of a trip than to try to get on a trip when it's sold out. So you have no risk. Put down your deposit, mark your calendar June 1. If you want to cancel by June 1st, you get every penny back. You cancel after June 1, you only lose $299 insurance per person. I think that's more than fair. It's pretty amazing. Now, deposits are due to hold your seat, though, by March 14th. And then final payment is due by July 16th. Okay. And what's that?
Is that on the paper?
It is. Now we're getting fancy now with online. I don't know if you've shared now.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna take care of that.
Okay. We do have an online link though. If you're interested in viewing everything online, you can do that as well. And this is just kind of what it looks like when you go in there, where you can click that sign up now button and you can do it all securely online. I know Becky, you know, she'll help you though. She's your trusted banker that you go right to. So if you prefer to do it that way, there's no problem. And you do have our paper reservation form there. This is just an example. At the top of your form, it does give you the amount of your deposit and those reservation and final payment dates that I mentioned. Okay, but I would go ahead and sign up. I know we have a lot of interest. Becky said that y'all were coming today. There's a lot of interest. So if you want to make sure you reserve your spot, go ahead and sign up. And then you know you have until June 1st to cancel and lose nothing. Okay. What kind of questions do you have? What can I answer? Anything I forgot, Becky?
I don't know, but first of all, she started at the Grand Canyon and I thought, oh yeah, I love it. And then she got to Zion. Zion's one of my favorite parks ever because it's one of those I didn't know anything about till I went the first time. And it's gorgeous. And then she got to, well, Bryce, of course, the Hoodoos, that's great too. And then we get, well, Sedona. I love Sedona. I mean, the Red Rocks, it's a romantic city. It's great.
Yeah.
And then you get up to the Grand Tetons, Jackson Hole and the Grand Tetons. Oh, that's probably my favorite. But yet there's the Old Faithful and the Yellowstone. And we're staying at the Snow Lodge there. So you can, I believe it's close enough to walk over to Old Faithful if you want to go when you have some free time and see it again. We're staying at some great places, some great resorts. The Lake Powell Resort is beautiful. It's wonderful. I stayed there. Every place she showed we've been. Oh, and then you get up into Custer State Park. Of course, I don't know that we're going through Custer State Park. I got a great story about that, I'll tell you. My husband, of course, we're Custers. And his niece lives in Rapid City, and we had a family reunion there, been several years ago, like 1999 or whatever. But anyway, we were there, the whole family, and we were touring, going to different places, and we got to Custer, South Dakota, and we decided we were hungry. We'd go in this little pizza place. And right across from the pizza place, you know how the Hollywood sign is? Yeah. Well, there's a Custer sign on the hill. And so we go in, and they're asking for you to give your order and give them your name. And I said, oh, this will be interesting. Wait till they hear this.
Yeah.
And so they said, well, what's your name? And I said, Custer. And she looked at me, you spell that with a D? Custer. First of all, they weren't even impressed that we were Custers, and there we were right in Custer. So that blew my whole theory. But anyway, and of course, Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse and the stories that you hear there. This is one of the best itineraries that Colette has or that anybody has for national parks. You get to see so many different things. You'll be wearing shorts in Scottsdale, and you'll be wearing a coat when we get to Yellowstone. I mean, you really will. When I say layers this time, I mean it for a reason. And you will need those things. So anyway, and we'll talk about what you need to wear as we get closer. But yeah, anybody got any questions? I'm sorry, I just got excited.
How many favorites have you got?
How many what?
How many favorites?
I don't
You said
know.
this was your favorite.
I know this whole trip,
It's better and better.
is my favorite. This is, I don't know. You asked me where my favorite place I've been. I can't tell you because there's so many great places. This is one of the best itineraries that we've ever done. So, and we've done it 2 or 3 times. Yes.
Do you think there would be any opportunity or chance to attend the Northern Continental
Well,
Congress
it depends on what day we're there.
on Sunday night?
Is that when it is on Sunday? Did you look it up? Oh, I don't know. We'll
Not sure
have to
on that.
check. I know we were there one time when they weren't practicing. Of course, we didn't get to hear them, but one time when they were, you could actually walk in and sit down and watch them and hear them, and it was great. But
You
I
can
don't
probably
know.
look it up online. The last time I checked it, I think it was a Wednesday they practice. So
and
you,
so
but
if
you
it's a
can
Sunday night, we'll have to, like she said, we can look it
check
up
on their
online
website, yeah.
and see how that would work out. So it is great to be able to hear that. But
Could you put the map up? I want to take a picture of it.
oh, the map's not on this one.
Let me see. If I can get back to it.
While she's doing that, she's gonna put the map back up. She wanted to take a picture of the map. The last reservation form that I handed out to you has the correct deposit amount on it. And it's $799 per person. So if you've already paid me, some of you paid me based on the last one, it's $500. I'll need the additional $299 for your deposit. I think 2 or 3 of you have done that. But anyway, this, if you will fill the form out for me, I'll get it uploaded and do what we have. I'll take care of it. You don't have to worry about anything. I'll take care of it. And she was right. If you want to go, I think First Friends is going to have a bus. We're going to be the group, I believe. So if you're interested in going,
Yes.
you need to get your deposits to me. And I'm here to take them today. If you got credit card or check, I'll take them. Anybody have any more questions? If you do, ask Jennifer. She can tell you all about it.
Thank you all so much. It's good to see you today. Thanks for coming. Come see me if you have questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before you leave, if you will just leave your name tag in your chair, that would be great.
Thank you, Cindy.
And I do have refreshments.